How you talk to your partner matters. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through 4 communication traps to avoid if you want a happy relationship. My name is Valerie, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker in the state of Colorado, and I help couples stop fighting and start communicating. All couples fight, and all couples get upset with each other. But how you talk to your partner when you're upset is what matters most. So today I'm going to talk to you about the Four Horsemen. The Four Horsemen is a term coined by John Gottman. He's one of the big researchers in the field of couples research. And he spends a lot of time studying what makes relationships work and what makes happy couples. And he noticed that unhappy couples tend to engage in 4 different types of negative communication patterns. And he decided to call this negative communication, these types of communication, the Four Horsemen, because couples who engage in the Four Horsemen tend to get divorced at a much higher rate than couples who don't. So these Four Horsemen are criticism, defensiveness, contempt, and stonewalling. So the first horseman that John Gottman talks a lot about is criticism. This is one of the most common negative communication patterns in any relationship, especially unhappy relationships. And criticism happens when we're upset with our partners, and instead of telling them that we're upset or that we want them to change their behavior, we focus on something personal about who they are or their character to make a complaint about. So instead of saying, "Hey honey, I'm upset that you forgot to take out the trash," I might make a criticism and tell my partner, "Man, you are so lazy. I can't believe you didn't take the trash out. I just can't depend on you." That's a criticism. And that's what criticism looks like in real life. It's a focus on your partner's personality or their character instead of their behavior and something that made you upset. So that first horseman that we talk about is criticism. We see that a lot. And criticism naturally leads to defensiveness. That's that second horseman, defensiveness. Defensiveness happens when I'm feeling attacked. And when I feel attacked, I am likely to counterattack my partner. So in real life, defensiveness might sound like me saying, "I didn't mean it that way," or "You misinterpreted what I said, you misunderstood." Defensiveness could be a counterattack that sounds something like, "Well, you never take the trash out either, you're always running late too." Defensiveness happens when I am feeling hurt and ashamed, and instead of accepting responsibility for hurting my partner, I counterattack them back. And the problem with defensiveness is that it pushes your partner into a corner. They have to make a choice, right? When you get defensive, they can either say, "Yeah, honey, you're right." How often does that happen? Or they can argue with you and tell you that you're wrong, right? So defensiveness puts our partners in a corner. And over time, criticism and defensiveness can lead to the third horseman, contempt. Now, contempt happens when I have a really negative view of my partner and I express that in the way I communicate with them. So during a conflict, contempt can look like hostility. It can look like sarcasm, eye rolling, sneering, mockery. So in real life, contempt might look like one partner imitating the other partner's voice or something that they say all the time. That can be contempt. Contempt can also be really hostile humor. So if you've ever made a joke that wasn't really a joke during an argument, that's contempt. And contempt can drive a huge wedge between partners because bottom line, it's hurtful. It hurts when your partner's contemptuous towards you. And one thing that we notice is that over time, this pattern of criticism, defensiveness, contempt leads to stonewalling. And that's the fourth horseman that I want to talk about today. Stonewalling happens when one partner begins to check out during a conversation or during a conflict. And checking out or withdrawing can look like a lot of different things. It can look like changing your eye contact, getting really quiet, changing your body language, kind of shutting down, looking away. Stonewalling can also be pulling out your phone so that when you're arguing with your partner, instead of talking to them, you're on your phone, paying attention to something else. And stonewalling at its heart is protective, right? We stonewall, we withdraw because we want to end the conflict. But what actually happens in most couples is stonewalling increases the level of aggression and frustration, right? One partner withdraws, the other partner gets louder and more angry, trying to draw them back in. Right? So those are the four horsemen. Those are the four communication problems that I look for in relationships when couples tell me we're unhappy and we just can't communicate. So I want to encourage you to think about your own interactions with your partner. How do you communicate with your partner? Are you engaging in the four horsemen? Are you engaging in criticism, defensiveness, contempt, or stonewalling? And if you are, I want to encourage you to think about ways to reverse it, to try something different next time you communicate. And bottom line, these patterns are actually really hard to change. This is really hard to change in a relationship. So if you're struggling with these four horsemen and you're struggling to change, reach out. You're not alone. A good couples counselor can help you change this pattern and approach your partner and your relationship in a much, much different way. So if you're a couple in Colorado and you're struggling with communication, reach out. I'd love to chat.